take those off because they glare and that's awful. It's awful, awful, awful. Good evening to everyone. Good morning to David. 1 o'clock in the morning, I believe, where you are, David. So let's start with David for getting up way early in the morning. Sorry. I gotta switch that. Let's try that again. There we go. Alrighty, Archie. Damp and dreary central New York. Scattered showers all day and only 68. Ooh, that's cold. Brr. Hope sunny skies brightened all your days. It is currently 89 and sunny here in Idaho. It's lovely, lovely, lovely. So, sorry, man. Nick S. Greetings and welcome back. Lovely day here for, yes, I'm getting warnings stream. So hopefully it's okay on your end. I have been having bandwidth issues, and of course, I forgot to change my I did a little recording of myself earlier yesterday, I guess, for upcoming video, which I recorded in 4K, and I forgot to change it back to not 4K. So I might get. I don't know what you're getting on your end. Could be fine. Could be 4K. I really don't know. They've told us that they're doing network upgrades in our area. I think they're trying to compete with the upcoming TDS fiber installation, which I've already signed up for because I want to have a symmetrical pipe. I'm going to be able to go up and down. Since I do a lot of uploading, it would be really convenient to go whoop and have it be done. So, all right. Well, we've got, let's see. I found something new. Oh, no, it's only the chat. I found something new. I thought I could sneak in and see who my viewers are, but I cannot. So if you have not said hi yet, please do. Then I can acknowledge you with the appropriate sound effect. So, Archie, picture and sound good on your end. Thank you for the report. Hopefully things will be okay. It's interesting because I have the bitrate limited to like a 1080p stream, so I'm wondering if if that takes precedence over my settings. So we got a like already. Thank you for whoever gave me a like. I appreciate that. Grateful for that. But let's move on from the like and get into the show. Let's see. I'm feeling a little weird, a little goofy, a little hungry. Maybe I have low blood sugar, so you never know what you're going to get. Let's go side by side. Oh, we got one more bodacious enlightenment. Gets a member gong. That's very satisfying. The gong is very... Jim Smith is also here. I think you're right, Jim. The gong is, at least on my end, the gong is very satisfying. I like the gong. So if you would like the gong, all you got to do is become a member. All right. Moving on to the show. As I promised, as I said, indicated. I don't know. Like I said, I'm feeling a little weird this evening. I don't know. It's Thursday, which in a lot of ways is kind of my Friday. So it's been a good Friday. Was working on the Blue Ridge Parkway, or Blue Ridge, no. What am I working on? The Blue Ridge Parkway video. Just gorgeous scenery. I think it's best done in the fall when the leaves start changing, and I will get into that in the video. I think there's a way in Photoshop that I can doctor a photo to make it look like fall. So I'm gonna look into that, and if that's possible, I will include that in the video as well. But yeah, it's a very scenic drive. Don't be in a hurry. Just enjoy the scenery. Pull off wherever you want and enjoy the Smoky Mountains. It's pretty nice. David says, it's Friday here. Yes, that's correct. 1:05 by my clock in a Friday morning. So happy Friday morning. And David, thank you for the effort to be here. I know it's early in the morning, so I do appreciate your presence. You provide a lot of a good commentary and good chats, so I really appreciate that. All right. The misery map is on the board. The place that you don't want to be today appears to be Dallas. Yeah. 85 delays, followed by Charlotte, 77 delays. Now that could be a little bit of ripple because Dallas is an American hub, obviously, and so is Charlotte. Miami, I believe, has a big American Airlines presence. I don't remember if Jason is flying today or not, so he can. So Miami again, big American Airlines. Denver, it's just summertime in Denver. 69 delays. Fort Lauderdale, more in Florida, so there must be some weather in Florida, as we've discussed. Atlanta, it doesn't take much. I think the place to be today would be Seattle. Even they have had 13 delays, but I think 13 is probably the winner as it relates to misery on this map. Maybe Minneapolis, 12 delays, but they're gonna get some weather here later this evening, I would guess. Having lived in Wisconsin and seeing this on the radar, yeah, I think that's gonna. I don't know if you guys can see it very well. But that looks like it's going to get a little medieval on their buttocks later. I don't see any weather in Atlanta. There might be some weather in Miami. So before I go any, let's look at delays real quick. All right, I'm going to back up. When you get to the blessed age that starts with a 5, sometimes backing up makes things more readable. It turns out. So. Let's see, we got Montreal, Trudeau with delays. Vancouver, arrival delays of close to an hour, and they're delaying inbound flights at their origin an hour and 51 minutes. Wow. So Canada is getting something. Winnipeg, also delays. If you haven't watched my trip report, I did a walkthrough of Winnipeg. It's a really cool airport. I'm hoping when my local airport gets its remodel, they do some of the nice things that Winnipeg had. It's very roomy, very nice. High ceilings. High ceilings there seem to be in right now. So Edinburgh, Dublin, Stockholm, Aspen, Boston, Logan, Charlotte. Boston's getting worse. That's probably the rain that went through Archie's neighborhood, getting up into there. Dallas. Increasing delays due to thunderstorms. Detroit. Eek, not good. Newark, Liberty. Fort Lauderdale, Washington, Dulles. 56 minutes on departure. JFK. Harry Reid is currently experiencing something. All inbound flights being held at their origin. Where'd it go? We moved down. Until 6 p.m. due to wind. Big wind in Vegas. If you've not flown into Vegas, summertime is especially bumpy. So I'm bracing for that. All right. Jim, that's a really good question. That is a really good question. I've been wondering about that. He asks, David, who is in your profile picture? It's a mugshot of somebody. Been dying to know. And David says it's John Doe. And he did an image search for a mugshot. Yeah, that's... I wondered, would David put his own mugshot, assuming David has a mugshot, would he put his own mugshot in his profile picture?
I haven't got time to argue with you.
All right. I am not like Lindsay Lohan. Well, that's good. That's really good. All right, let's look up here in Canada. Yeah, this looks like the Minneapolis thing. That looks like a pretty big storm front. That I think that went through here a couple days ago because it was cold and rainy earlier this week. So there's Archie's rain has moved past. It's probably moving to the northeast, but yeah, this whole corridor here looks like it's been getting a lot of weather. So, all right. Let us move on. So this first story I have actually perused a little bit because The headline caught my eye, and I was like, what the heck? All right, so let's get into it. This major U.S. airport just banned the sale of plastic water bottles. What to know? This is from Travel and Leisure. It's the end of an era for plastic water bottles at the LA International Airport, LAX. While travelers will be able to purchase water in sustainable containers like recyclable aluminum or glass, the ban on plastic bottles took effect on June 30th in an effort to help the environment and minimize waste. Well, I don't have a problem with that. Most people that I'm aware of, based on the refuse I see on the beach, do a very poor job of managing their bottles. So they banned plastic water bottles. Okay. Let's keep moving, and they patted themselves on the back, and they got water filling stations, and don't hurt yourself patting yourself on the back. So I don't have a problem with that. My problem comes later here. The ban does not apply to bottled water served on board a flight. We encourage our guests to help us reach our goal of eliminating plastic waste at the airport by bringing a reusable water bottle and filling it up at one of our many hydration stations. LA World Airport CEO Justin Urbacci said in a statement. Great. They have filling stations. Great. However, the statement noted that prepackaged single-use plastic bottles of all sizes containing non-carbonated and unflavored purified water, spring water, blah, 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 are subject to the policy. So any sort of water is subject to the policy. Okay, that's great. So if no plastic water bottles. I really like the aluminum water bottles anyway. I think it keeps my water colder anyway. While the ban is now taking effect, the plan to remove single-use plastic water bottles dates back to June 2021 when the local government decided to make the switch and provided time for vendors at the airport to take the necessary steps in preparation for the ban. The airport has also installed additional water bottle refill stations to help with the demand. All right. So it's interesting. This article, so I've actually read 2 articles on this. This article just gives you the part of the story. What is not banned is the sale of sodas and other beverages in plastic bottles. Let that sink in for a minute. So if you would like to have a Coke Zero, it'll come in a plastic bottle. So, yeah, they're very proud of themselves for getting rid of plastic bottles for water, but not for everything else. So this is where I have an issue because, government getting involved and saying, we must do this for the environment. Well, they didn't actually finish the job. Not that I really want to have a glass bottle at the airport or anything, or even an aluminum bottle, but the fact that they're so self-congratulatory for a partial move. The other article I read was very clear about the fact that you can get your soda in a plastic bottle and then you could use that for your refillable water bottle. I just find it I find it a little absurd that there's no plastic water bottles, but everything else is still okay. It's just, and you probably get a paper straw too, which I hate because they just collapse and they don't work. All right. So what do you all think? It's just one of those half efforts. If you're LA and you're really, really concerned about, the fate of the planet and you think that your contribution, can make a dent in the overall garbage situation of the planet, great. Then you should go all the way and have only sustainable products in your airport. I just don't get it. A half measure, I just think it just becomes an inconvenience and for very little gain. I find this to be just something to make it harder for you and me to travel, because now you have to think about bringing a water bottle if you're going to fly through LA and you want to drink water like a lot of people do. And then heaven forbid you have any liquids in that thing when you go through TSA, because then they're going to be all over you as well. So David asks, how many regular travelers actually take their own water bottles now? I don't. I see a few, very few. I see most people are purchasing water and beverages at the airport. That's what I see. Bodacious says, how will the convenience stores survive without the $4 for a bottle of water you can buy for 25% at Costco? Yeah, I don't. Well, you can get your water in an aluminum bottle now, and then that could be your travel bottle. They're very nice. David says it's borderline virtue signaling and meaningless. Yeah, and the fact that this article here doesn't really go all the way and tell you that you can get soda in a plastic bottle still. You can get a juice in a plastic bottle. I mean, this started in what did the article say? 2021. They didn't have time to get all a lot of manufacturing in Los Angeles for some reason that I don't understand. I think there's a lot cheaper places to do business, but they couldn't get the other manufacturers to bottle their stuff in aluminum anything. Just only sell aluminum cans. I don't know. Bodacious says soon we'll have an aluminum jug for soda and then one for water. Yes. Bodacious says, talking to David, the Chili's restaurant in the Minneapolis airport sells those water jugs. I was surprised about that. Minneapolis doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't surprise me that they would have that there. I saw a lot of refilling stations when I was there as well. So David says, I have a steel flask for traveling alongside a steel straw if needed. Yes. Much better than the paper straw, but when will the security folks not allow a steel straw onto the airplane? Nope. Here we go.
We come in peace.
They came in peace.
We come in peace.
All right. So LA airport is gonna save the planet. Good for them. Thank you, LA. This probably applies to Ontario as well because they are run by the same business. Yeah. Nice. All right. No more thoughts. I thought this would trigger it a little bit more than it did, but hey, maybe it's a step. Fine, great. Let's keep plastic out of the landfill and out of the ocean. I think we're all filled with plastic these days, from what I see, but it's just a half measure in my mind. Which go all the way or don't do it. All right, let's move on. I'll get off my soapbox here. Archie says, virtue signaling makes me hurl. Yes. And I would say that travel and leisure is also virtue signaling by not fully reporting on what's going on. So, all right. So this caught my eye because I mentioned it last week. And interestingly enough, this article popped up in my Google. It's almost like Google is listening and watching what I'm saying, searching. Interesting. I can't imagine Google would do that. All right. Hydrogen-powered planes almost ready for takeoff. Yeah. See, I mentioned this last week, and here's an article. So it's fascinating. A complete hydrogen fuel cell powertrain assembly occupied the pride of place in the pavilion of Beyond Aero at the recently concluded Paris Air Show. But that is a really bad sentence, by the way. I'm an engineer, and I can see that that's a bad sentence. Anyway. That a fuel cell system was the Toulouse-based startup's centerpiece at the biennial Aero event is an indication of the steps being taken by a range of companies, from startups to multinational corporations, toward realizing the goal of using hydrogen as a fuel in the aviation sector. Seems like a perfect fuel for a lot of things. This 85 kilowatt subscale demonstrator was successfully tested a few months ago, even though in its current form it serves only ultralight aviation. The successful test of the powertrain is a crucial step in our technological development path for designing and building a business aircraft. Beyond Aero founder Hugo Tarley told Ars Technica. Tarley said that the business aircraft would have a range of 800 nautical miles, all right, and be powered by a 1 megawatt powertrain. Megawatts. For generating this power, there won't be one big megawatt fuel cell. Instead, it will be multiple fuel cells. It will be based on the same technical choices that we made on the subscale demonstrator, i.e., gaseous hydrogen fuel cell hybridization of batteries and electric motors. Ooh, hydrogen. 800 nautical miles? It's not bad. Tarley listed the reasons behind developing a CS-23 category aircraft using hydrogen. The CS-23 is a EASA certification for small aircraft with low maximum takeoff weight. The requirements for this certification are lower than for C-25 certification, so it's more realistic for a startup. In the case of Beyond Aero, their first aircraft will have a maximum takeoff weight of under 8.5 tons with a seating capacity between 4 and 8. So a bizjet. So all of the people who, the climate change people who fly on their private jets can now fly on a fuel cell aircraft, and then they can actually be part of the solution. With hydrogen fuel cell technology, we could reach a certain performance in terms of range of our aircraft. We realized that with a range of 800 nautical miles, we could cover 80% of the business aircraft market. He said electric batteries alone were not considered as they are too heavy for aircraft. Yeah, batteries are very heavy. Batteries alone are not an option due to their low mass energy density. It's your density. With the batteries alone, the range of the aircraft is very low. However, there will be hybridization of the fuel cell with batteries for phases where extra power is required, such as during takeoffs. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Let's move on. Zero Avia's half hydrogen aircraft. So here's another one. Ooh, look at that. A Dornier 228. I don't see those very often. Zero Avia's half hydrogen aircraft. While Beyond Aero aims to launch its first aircraft in 2030, a British American startup is confident it can bring hydrogen power to the skies as early as 2025. To achieve this aim, Zero Avia is developing engines that can be retrofitted onto existing aircraft. There's a large fleet of aircraft which can be retrofitted with fuel cell powertrains. This is a quicker way of putting the technology into service. Interesting. He added that although retrofitting may not allow aircraft to travel its full design range, it will still be adequate for the customer. We think we can actually deliver the cost reduction for the customers because many of these airframes have been designed to fly a lot further than they ever used to. When we retrofit an aircraft, we add some weight because the first generation of these engines is heavier than the turbine. We compensate for the extra weight by reducing its range. McMicking, that's his name, McMicking, said the range of a Donner 228 retrofitted with hydrogen fuel cell will be in the order of 250 to 300 nautical miles, which is one half of a standard aircraft. But even the reduced range is still adequate for 98% of all the missions these aircraft fly. And if you didn't know, the byproduct of a hydrogen engine is water. So it's very nice. All right, let's move down to Airbus. Meanwhile, aviation giant Airbus is also busy developing its fuel cell engine demonstrator, which could have its inaugural test flight in 2026. According to this guy or girl, I don't know, who's the lead of fuel cell propulsion. I'm not going to try. Sorry. Who is the head of fuel cell propulsion systems for Airbus Zero E research product? Zero E's first A380 will be transformed into a flight lab demonstrator in order to allow hydrogen engine testing. Nice. Hydrogen will be stored in liquefied form in a cryogenic tank. It will be converted into gaseous form before being fed into the megawatt class fuel cell engine. Nice. He said the fuel cell engine won't be used to operate the A380 demonstrator. It will be an attached engine whose thrust will be measured in different flight phases during different maneuvers. Seems prudent. We want to test it with regards to its behavior under different environmental conditions. I'm surprised GE or Rolls-Royce are not participating in that. Maybe they are. Maybe. It's not clear whether hydrogen will be central to the decarbonization of aviation, which contributes 2% to the global carbon footprint, by the way. Maybe 2 or 3. Very low. Other companies are betting on battery improvements, and biofuels are already powering some flights. But the efforts made by these companies are likely to give us a much clearer idea of what hydrogen is capable of before the decade is out. Yay, hydrogen. We'll see. I think it is a viable alternative fuel, so we'll see how that works out. All right, let's go check chat. Back to the previous story. It should ban all the plastic and have aluminum cans only. I agree. David says it depends on the source of hydrogen. Most currently are just as bad as fossil fuels. Only green hydrogen is cleaner. That uses a lot of renewable energy to split water. Yes, if you didn't know how hydrogen is made, it requires electricity to create the hydrogen. So some of the models I've seen are various solar plants. The most viable that I remember reading about in my previous existence as an engineer, I think used the directed solar array to heat up a salt solution, which was then used to make steam, which then the steam turned a turbine. The turbine makes electricity, and that goes into the grid. So if you have that, you could... that would be a green source if you ignore the production of the solar panels or the mirrors, which may or may not be a green thing, which is another thing that everybody with an electric car patting themselves on the back. Batteries are built on human suffering, if you didn't know that. It's a terrible industry. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing, and there have been a lot of other stories about that. I'm not going to go over that because this is about airplanes and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of the production of these green technologies is not so friendly to the earth, it turns out. But a lot of people just don't want to really think about that. But yeah, if you're going to make hydrogen and consider it to be green, your electricity has to be from a green source. I would 100% agree with David on that one. It's not you put a couple electrodes into some water and you energize those and the bubbles come out, and that's the hydrogen. So you get hydrogen and oxygen out of it. So anywho, all right. So that's hydrogen. I think there's been a lot of discussions. One, again, back to my previous existence as an engineer, we had a consultant, and there is a potential that the existing natural gas infrastructure could be modified to carry hydrogen. Hydrogen has a much smaller molecule, so there has to be liners installed in a lot of the existing piping, which is not a simple, easy thing necessarily. But that would be a way to replace natural gas with hydrogen. So that was a consultant, think tank kind of thing. So maybe, never know. Could happen. All right. This happened today, so this is actually a two-parter. Sorry, I have to do a thing. All right. That thing that I needed to do at 6:30 is done. If anyone's interested who knows what I'm talking about, it's a secret. All right. Today there was a Virgin Galactic flight, and one of the passengers joked that he would have to wear diapers on Thursday's mission because the spacecraft didn't have toilets. All right. Great. John Goodwin, an 80-year-old Olympian, joked about the conditions on his Virgin Galactic flight. He said he would have to wear a diaper because one thing the rocket ship doesn't have is a toilet. Virgin Galactic's first flight bringing paying tourists to space is scheduled to take off Thursday, and we'll get to that here in just a moment. So the story, a passenger on Virgin Galactic's first flight for paying space tourists joked about the conditions on the spaceship. John Goodwin, an 80-year-old British Olympian, is set to be one of 3 private passengers on board Virgin Galactic's first commercial flight, which is scheduled to launch Thursday. Goodwin, who had been preparing for the flight, told Sky News that he and the other passengers would have limited bathroom options on the 90-minute flight. It's that long, really. I didn't realize it was that long. Oh, they got to climb the altitude, don't they? They can like circle up and then they drop it. And anyway. One thing the rocket ship doesn't have is a toilet, so we will be wearing nappies, which takes me back a bit. Nappies. Definitely British. I remember hearing nappies before. While the prospect might be unsettling to some, it's not unusual. NASA says astronauts who need to wear their spacesuits for extended periods of time, such as during a launch, can be fitted with a maximum absorbency garment, essentially a diaper, to avoid having to go to the bathroom. Photos shared by the company show that the interior of Virgin Galactic spaceship, the VSS Unity, is quite sparse. Yeah, there's not a whole lot there, is there? If that's a photo or just a rendering. Regardless, it's kind of cool. It's very spaceship-y. The spaceship, which is scheduled to soar to about 300,000 feet above Earth's surface, is made up of pilot controls, seats for crew and passengers, and some scientific equipment, as was the case on the ship's first commercial flight on June 28th. Nice. So this actually had actual testing that went into it, and they had a tragedy, and they redesigned a lot of things. Unlike a certain submarine, it'll be fine. Windows Pepper, the ship's Windows Pepper? Sorry. I'm like, what is a Windows Pepper? Anyway, Windows Pepper, the ship's hull to offer passengers a view of the Earth as they fall back into its atmosphere. Virgin Galactic's private commercial flight has been long awaited, with more than 800 people having purchased the firm's tickets. Goodwin bought his ticket for more than 18 years ago for $250,000. The company, which is now selling its tickets for up to $450,000, plans to send tourists to space 3 times a month once operations are up and running. This flight is set to be the first of these trips. Nice. Ooh, little video. Blue Origin. They're having problems these days, aren't they? So, they were successful. Here's the story. Virgin Galactic conducts first space tourist suborbital flight. Check the chat real quick. David says, gray hydrogen uses methane and creates lots of carbon dioxide as well. Ooh, carbon dioxide is bad. So bad. Bodacious gave me thanks for being a fantastic multitasker. And David, of course, this is a good one. I love this. I got to find the appropriate hero. This one. This space flight was brought to you by Depends. You never put it past them.
Inconceivable! You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Is Richard Branson still involved? Such a carnival barker. I think he's still the dude. Yeah, I think he really is. Can you collect Amex points with that $400,000? I don't know. If you have a $400,000 credit limit on your Amex. Do they have credit limits on Amex? I don't have an Amex, so I don't know how that works. I have a Chase Sapphire Reserve, and you are welcome to use the referral link in the last video. All right, so here is the Logan, Utah. Virgin Galactic is that where they're based? They're based out of New Mexico, aren't they? Anyway, this story was written out of Logan, apparently. Virgin Galactic took its first private astronaut customers on a suborbital flight August 10th, nearly 2 decades after it started selling tickets. VSS Unity spaceplane attached to its VMS Eve mothership aircraft took off from Spaceport America In New Mexico at approximately 10:20, Unity was released from Eve at 11:17. Eastern fired its hybrid rocket motor. I heard the hybrid rocket motor has some sort of combination of like ground up tire rubber or something. That's why it's like so smoky looking when it takes off. I don't know if they changed that after their accident and their tragedy. I don't know that the engine was involved in that at all, but yeah, I watched a Nova years and years ago. Today, Virgin Galactic took another historic leap forward by flying our first private astronaut mission and demonstrating how our space flights will broaden access to space. That gets into the debate: is 300,000 feet space? That's a debate that Blue Origin has been having. Are they actually getting into space? Because space originally getting into space was crossing a line, and I'm going blank now. There's a lot of people I think that want to change that to actually getting into orbit is getting into space, but the Galactic 02 mission was the second commercial spaceflight for Virgin Galactic after Galactic 01 mission June 29th. That was a research flight for the Italian Air Force that carried 3 people from the Italian Air Force and Italy's National Research Council, conducting more than a dozen instruments, conducting more than a dozen experiments, probably. Galactic 02 was the first flight to carry space tourists, who make up the largest part of the company's customer base. The company started selling tickets in 2005 for flights on Spaceship 2 for $200,000. It's up to $450 today. Let's talk about the other two. We talked about John Goodwin and his needs for diaper. The other 2 customers on the right are mother and daughter Keisha Shahaf and Anastasia Mayers from Antigua and Barbuda. Shaf won a contest run by the nonprofit organization Space for Humanity. I think that's the right way to say it.
We come in peace.
They came in peace.
We come in peace.
Sorry.
I have got to
haven't got time to argue with you.
That might be better. I don't know. The 4th person in the cabin was Beth Moses, Virgin Galactic's chief astronaut trainer, making her 4th suborbital spaceflight. Unity was commanded by C.J. Sturkow with a Kelly Latimer as pilot. No more Mars attacks tonight, by the way. Sturkow was on his 4th Spaceship 2 flight after 4 space, blah, 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 blah. Virgin, blah, 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 blah. Lot of blah, 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 blah. So, yeah. So they can... assuming this works regularly, they're going to make a craptastic amount of money, because I think there's a lot of people who want to do this. I think there's a lot. We'll see. And apparently nobody else in chat knows your answer to your Amex points with your 400 grand either, David. Sorry. So, all right. Yeah, I don't know. And I thought about a video, but I'm pretty sure it's going to have all kinds of fluff and stuff from Virgin Galactic, and I think you can probably get it on YouTube is my guess. So I need a drink. Water. Water's good for you. All right. Opera, I'm not looking for cashback. All right. So again, this caught my eye. I don't know what the change is. Again, most of what I do is read and react. There's football tonight. That made me think of football. Yeah. Seahawks play this evening. First preseason game. Not that it's really, it's preseason, but it's football. Yay, football. Poor Pac-10. Oh, I don't know if any of you are sports fans out there know about the Pac-10, but grew up in Seattle, so Pac-10's kind of, Pac-10, Big Ten was a big deal in my house, and now pretty much it's all Big Ten. Will Chase Sapphire give you triple points for traveling on Virgin Galactic? It is a travel expense, and I do believe you get 3 times points for travel. I'm going to go with yes, but I have no guarantees because I'm not an employee of Chase. So, News has leaked that the airline is going to do something very different with a key part of its boarding process. Ooh, I am intrigued. Are you intrigued?
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Southwest Airlines does not sell assigned seats. That's correct. That's very different than every other major airline where you either pick a seat when you book your flight, or for certain economy fares, you get assigned one close to your trip date. Sometimes as late as in the airport. I think Bodacious just had that happen. That's not how it works for Southwest. The discount carrier uses an open seating system where people pick their seats as they board the plane. Yep. The airline assigns customers to a boarding group A, B, or C. C equals centers, as the flight attendants have said, and a number 1 to 60. People who need extra assistance board first in the A 1 to 15, and the high-end members of the Southwest Rewards loyalty program get checked in automatically, which usually lands them in the A group spot. But if they don't get one, those frequent flyers can board after the A group and before the B group, along with families traveling with young children. People without loyalty status check in 24 hours before the flight and are handed letters and numbers in the order they check in. This means that anyone who forgets to check in exactly at the 24-hour mark likely gets stuck in the back of the B group or in the C group. Having a late position pretty much guarantees you a middle seat, and it's possible the overhead bins will all be full. If people want to sort of cut the line, they have two options. Southwest sells any A1 to 15 positions that weren't sold as business class fares right up to flight time. It also sells early bird check-in, which checks passengers in automatically and gets them a spot that's usually in the A group, and I can attest to that. Usually, I did get a B one time. I think I got like B1, so not terrible. Now, a new report from View from the Wing shared that the airline will not sell early bird check-in on some flights. What? Oh, that's a bummer. That would be a disappointment, because I always buy early bird, because the 24-hour thing is a pain in the... Starting August 15th, Southwest Airlines won't be offering early bird check-in on all flights, according to an internal memo seen by View from the Wing. This is the text. Beginning the 15th, early bird check-in will be subject to availability on certain flights, and that will mean early bird check-in is unavailable to some customers looking to purchase it. Many initiatives are underway across the company to modernize the customer experience and win more customers, aligning with our 5 strategic priorities. Is priority number 1 to avoid a strike? I don't know. It seems like it should be, but... This focus brings an opportunity to evolve out fare and ancillary products while maintaining the value they bring to our customers. Similar to our fare products and upgraded boarding, early bird check-in might not be available at any given time. If the early bird check-in standalone product is unavailable, customers will still have an opportunity to purchase Business Select or upgraded boarding, both of which are also subject to availability. Customers who purchase the anytime fares will still receive early bird check-in as part of the benefits of that fare. Yeah, interesting. Essentially, Southwest is pushing customers who want a better seat to buy more expensive fares. In a broad sense, Business Select fares and upgraded boarding cost significantly more than early bird check-in. Yeah, early bird check-in is like $20 per person per segment. Business Select fares are like double. In theory, this action will raise revenue for the airline and eliminate the occasional experience of someone paying for early bird and not getting an A group boarding pass. For me, what it will mean is that if early bird check-in isn't available and the price gap between the cheapest fare and Business Select is large, I won't fly Southwest, since I don't want to be among the last to board, and I didn't renew my Southwest Airlines status last year, so no longer get status-based boarding. From View from the Wing's Gary Lefroat. Southwest Airlines did not immediately return a request for comment from the street. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this. They are making Southwest not the cheapest anymore. David says, in other news, John admits his car limit is that high. Did I? It's pretty high. Southwest still has free luggage. That is correct. They have not changed that yet. So, you know, the prudent shopper and the advice that I give to people is when you're looking at a low cost, ultra low cost, you got to factor in all this stuff. Are you going to be traveling for such a duration that you need a suitcase? Then you need to figure out what the baggage costs are for that particular airline. You know, is it really cheaper? Most of the time, in my experience, if you're checking a bag, the low cost carriers are not necessarily cheaper. Southwest is generally the cheapest if you know you're going to go somewhere like 6 months in advance, because the way their fare structure is appears to be situated, and I've not confirmed this with anybody at Southwest, but based on my experience, they appear to have some number of seats at the lowest fare and then some number at the next and next. And so as those cheapest ones get sold, the cheapest then become the next tier up and etc. Or the next group up. Obviously you can buy the business select and those things as well, but you know, it's yeah. So if you buy way early, Southwest is almost always going to be the cheapest because you do get free bags. Other airlines, it's $30 to $40. Like Spirit, I think is $40 to check a bag. Carry-on bag is $45 or $50 though. So you got that going for you. So again, Spirit, it's cheaper to check a bag. I don't know, Southwest. It's an interesting thing. Maybe they're trying to get some better cash flow because they're going to have to pay their pilots and flight attendants more. I mean, it's inevitable. They're going to pay more. I mean, I think if we've watched what's happened with all the other major airlines, everybody's gotten a raise. So let's see. Early bird check-in is of value to passengers. I love it. That's one of the things I like about Southwest. The early bird frees me from the calendar having to remember that my flight is at, let's see. So my wife and I are going to Vegas in 2 weeks now, 3 weeks now. 2 weeks. It's actually 3 weeks. 3 weeks from tomorrow, I think it is. 2 weeks. I don't know. See, calendars are not my thing. Anyway, and I think our flight leaves at like 6:47. So the Thursday before, when I'm probably preparing to pack, well, that's not true. I would probably pack Friday morning. But the trip is not necessarily on my brain 100%, and it's super easy to miss the 6:45. Ooh, it's 6:45, 24 hours ahead of time. Unlike David, I'm not really good with alarms either. And so I when I've done that in the past, I've always missed it and ended up in B anyway. So if I pay the $20, then I probably get in A. And especially if you buy the early bird along with your Southwest ticket like 6 months out, you're gonna get a middle A, more than likely. Most people don't buy the A1 to 15. I found they do when you go to Vegas. That's one exception I've seen here in Boise. People do buy the A1 to 15 when they're going to Vegas. So if first money that they're gonna lose anyway. Bodacious says Southwest seems to straddle the line between low cost and the big airlines. Yeah, agreed. They're one of the largest by number of flights and number of passengers. They're in the top 5, top 4. I think top 4. And then if Spirit and JetBlue merge, they would be number 5. So David says, with all the nickel and diming, the full fare airlines look good value. Yeah. Some of you I know probably watched my comparison, and I did a comparison for flights, I think out of Denver, comparing them to the flights I actually took. And in one case, I think the Delta flight was basically the same cost. I mean, as a ultra low cost with all the baggage charges, the seat charges, and they try to bundle it, and it's a bunch of it's really, they make it challenging for the inexperienced traveler. They really do. I think that, and it's intentional. It's a multi-step process. Most travelers, I think, would like to go, I want a flight, which of course is where the travel agent comes in soon. I'm done with school, by the way. Yay. I gotta go.
One ping only, please. I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Anyway, so I've done with school. I've got a proctor form out to take the test, the travel agent proficiency exam. So that'll happen sometime in September, and then there's months. It turns out there's months of approval that I have to go through to get an actual agency. There's a shortcut way to do it, where I can act as a travel agent, and that only takes a month. So I might be doing it that way because, again, the full-blown way is a lot of nickel and diming, which, yeah. Archie says, if Southwest modernizes their internal systems, they should be more efficient. Agreed. I think that's what the pilots are claiming their priority is. We want better systems. And it really could be true that they actually do want that, but I guarantee they want more money as well. EasyJet in the UK have early boarding with extra legroom, so makes sense. Archie says, good luck on the exam and the approval process. Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't know. I pass the exam. I get my certification. Then I got to go to what's called the Airline Reporting Corporation, and I have to do some sort of registration thing there, and that takes months to get that approval. A lot of hoops. It's really, yeah. And I will say that the class really was a kind of like, it's interesting. Most classes, when you get to the end, in my experience, are like, yay, you did it. It's so hard what you did and all this stuff. And they got to the end of this and said, yeah, basically you might have made a mistake. It was kind of a real kind of, Tuesday, I finished on Monday, got the proctor form out. And so Tuesday was just kind of a bummer. I was just like bummed out. They're like, yeah, you might have screwed up. Anyway, so we'll see. Hopefully, my idea is, a combo YouTube travel thing. I will probably be adding a membership level to provide travel benefits, travel agent benefits to members. I don't know how I would price that tier yet. Typically, it turns out most travel agents travel agents don't get commissions for airline bookings, so they typically charge like a percentage of the trip. That's typically what happens. So I'm looking at possibly doing that as prorate that and make that a membership perk. So there might be a third level of membership available, and if you're looking for some travel agent services, that would be one of the perks potentially for that. Yeah, I would like to get some. I want to get some. I think I might also add another tier. I want my own like branded stuff. I need to like have a hat and stuff that I wear while I'm traveling. So I think I might be looking at some potential merch things coming up as well. So we'll see how that goes. While I'm sitting around with my thumb, doing something with my thumb, I will be analyzing the business model, writing my business plan, doing all those things so I can figure that out, how that integrates website, YouTube, live streams, all that stuff. So if you have any thoughts or suggestions, info@trizitytraveling.com or trizity@gmail. You guys are regular contributors to the live stream, so if you have any thoughts, feel free to throw them at me. No guarantees that I will like or accept or use any of them, but so Jim asks, what inspired me to go from engineer to this line of work? my corporate job was killing me. I'll just be blunt. I was beginning to have, and maybe TMI, maybe you don't want to know all this, but you asked, and you're a regular Jim, and you're part of the community. I was getting anxiety attacks, and I was headed for lots of bad health, I believe. The corporate world is not for me. I'm curious now that the world seems to have recovered from COVID. I'm still an engineer. I'm thinking about offering my services as a consultant engineer type person as well, because you do something for 25 years almost, and it becomes part of who you are. And I really enjoy the engineering world and all that, but yeah, it was unhealthy for me, and so I had to do something different. And one of the things that I discovered in the corporate world with my job is I traveled a lot. And so if you watch my early YouTube, it's weird. I've only really been working at this really seriously as kind of a potential like retirement business kind of thing in this year. Up until now, it's just been kind of hobbyish. I dabble in travel consulting type stuff, answer people questions, stuff like that, but it's not really been serious. And so my friends back in the corporate world were always joking, "Oh, you should be a travel agent, or no, you should be a flight attendant," is what they said. Didn't really feel like in my life situation being a travel agent or being a flight attendant really made a lot of sense. I did travel quite a bit in the corporate world, and so my early YouTube is me sticking the camera out the window and just recording takeoffs and landings because it made the business travel that I was doing a little more interesting. That then worked into, hey, I kind of dig this travel thing, and I travel enough. Maybe I could dabble in this something called a trip report that I started seeing. And my early trip reports are just, frankly, they're awful. I think that's the nature of YouTube. I think my production value was pretty high. You guys can help me with that by continuing to like the videos, watch the videos, comment on the videos. And if you have friends that you think might want them, share them as well. All those things help me help the channel grow and all that stuff. So, yeah, so that's just kind of, I think I'm still an engineer, and like I said, I'd like to dabble a little bit, but I don't want to do it full time, and I'm not going to be, if circumstances are under my control, I have no plans to ever work in a corporate office again. So a travel agency will be either contract work for an existing agent, or I'm going to do my own. There's a significant startup fee that goes with that, so we'll see what happens. I don't really know exactly quite yet. So did I answer your question? Did I ramble? I may have rambled a little bit. No! Anyway, if I did, sorry. If you have any follow-up questions, throw them into the chat. Archie asked, do travel agents get commission on cruise or package tour stuff? Typically they do, yes. So yeah, the typical, it depends and it depends who you're booking with a travel company as well, what the commissions are. Same with hotels, stuff like that. So each of them have a different commission rate. So, Archie says, I hope this brings you joy and satisfaction. Traveling brings me joy and satisfaction. So hopefully, and I think it's part of being an engineer. For me, I really enjoy the kind of build up, the planning stages of a trip. And I was really encouraged. I have a friend of my wife asked me for some advice. They were going to Belize. And so I put together a suggested itinerary, and they effectively followed the itinerary. And except for some illnesses that were not a cause of the itinerary, she got appendicitis on the way home, and then her husband actually got the real flu on the way home as well. And so, other than that, their vacation came out really nicely. So that gave me a lot of encouragement because I was kind of like, do I really want to do the travel agent thing? I don't know. And then the trip came off and it went so good and they were very complimentary. And I'm like, yeah, I think I could do this for people. And I think based on my experience, I think I provide them a lot of value. I think I'm in a good position. I'm not a young kid fresh out of high school, college, who's never traveled before. I have quite a bit of travel experience. So, all right. David says, doing the same thing for 25 years becomes part of you, as said by Tony Soprano. Yep. Bodacious says, I'm much happier following my dreams. It was a brave decision and most certainly a good one for him and the family. Follow your heart.
Yeah.
That's a little sarcasm. I am pretty famous for being full of sarcasm. I had a boss call me a smartass one time. He told me at the end of the day one time, you really like being a smartass, don't you? And I'm like, I guess I do. I was probably teasing one of my coworkers. Anyway. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it. David also says, planning can be as much of fun as actually going. All right. Archie's got to go, looks like. Good show. Hope to join on Monday, noon Eastern. Yeah, I got Monday is already scheduled, so yes. Thanks for dropping by, Archie. Jim says it's very brave to do what you did and admirable. Glad you found your smile. Yeah, I'm still a work in progress. Much happier now. It's taken a long time to really accept the fact that I don't go to an office. I haven't been to an office for almost 4 years now, and I do not miss it. It was just really weird timing. It kind of didn't work out because I left my position in 2019, and then the world shut down for a couple years in March of 2020, and so things have taken longer to get to where I want them to be. But yeah, we're getting there. All right. And one last thing, if you didn't know, I am an aviation geek. And one of my favorite events of the year is coming up on Saturday and Sunday. It seems to be a little bit scaled down than it normally is. I saw David's, plus I get more time with the cats. I don't think I've had any cat visits tonight. Anyway, the Warbird Roundup is this weekend, where we will get to see some beautiful airplanes. We will get to see the P-38J Lightning 23 Skidoo, B-25 Mitchell. Last time I saw this particular B-25 is actually painted camo, so we'll see if it's in the photo fanny version or if it's in the camo version with photo fanny on the front. F4U-1A Corsair, which is lovely. P-51H. I believe this is the only P-51H in existence. This is the last production version, if I remember right, of the P-51, as well as the T-6 Texans, or SNJ-5 Texan. I don't know how that's different than T-6, but anyway, they are, that's a pilot trainer. And then the Warhawk Museum itself has 3 airplanes, which I can show you. They have their own P-51C. And the only thing that's interesting about a P-51C is it's the same as a P-51B. It just was made in a different factory, from what I understand. They have a P-40N. They call that Parrot Head. And then this guy, P-40E Kitty Hawk, Sneak Attack. And they tell us this every year. Sneak Attack was in the movie Valkyrie with Tom Cruise. It's at the beginning, so if you see the movie Valkyrie, or if you choose to watch it, there you go. So yeah, good times. All right, so that will be this weekend. So I'm super excited about that. I'm trying to decide. I think I'm gonna probably end up doing this weekend at the Warbird Roundup, kind of vlog style. So Nick asks, am I going to work from home for phone calls? That is the plan. I've actually signed up today for an app called Calendly. I'm going to put that on my website, probably embed a link, probably on my YouTube somewhere. And people will then schedule a meeting with me, which can either be a virtual or a regular phone call. It kind of up to the client, I guess. Yes, and so it'll be probably a virtual agency, and I might be doing, you know, what is it, Zoom calls with people to help them set up their vacations. I think that's probably good because I think a lot of benefit is gained from face to face communication, if you will. I think being able to see people and gauge their reactions, and then the benefit of that is I can I can put up pictures if they are going to someplace I've been, or I can give them something similar to that. So yeah, the plan is to do at home probably initially, and eventually my wife and I would like to have a business space where we can she can do her business in part of it, and I'll do my travel agent business in part of it, and I think the two are very complementary to each other. So let's see. So Nick, if you're looking for until I'm official, Nick, I'm happy because you are a regular in the live stream, in the chat. You're here pretty regularly. If you send me an email, Trizity, like electricity, but Trizity at Gmail, or info@trizitytraveling.com. If you have actual travel agent questions that you're wondering about, fire me an email. I'm happy to provide some guidance if that's what you're looking for in the short term. And maybe if you want, we could set up a phone call as well. So let me know. I'll do a little pro bono work for a regular in chat here. So yeah, if you have questions, I'm happy to help you out there. Alrighty. Bodacious asks, no hell or bust. So hell or bust is a P-51, which might be my favorite. P-51. And I love the P-51, but this guy is just so shiny. It's owned by a local guy here in Boise. I just wish I could get a bigger picture. It is a beautiful aircraft, and occasionally he brings it to the Warbird Roundup. They haven't posted a flying schedule yet, which is unusual, so I'm hoping that there's going to be some late arrivers. One of the complicating factors, I think, is the Gowan Thunder Air Show is at the end of the month, and Gowan Thunder is going to have the Thunderbirds and stuff like that. And so this is not its normal weekend. Normally the Warbird Roundup would be at the end of August. So I don't know if there's as the typical availability. So I don't know if everybody's coming or not. So we'll see. So no hell or bust. Normally he carries some bombs too, but that's not a really great picture. Because it is super shiny. I should pull out my own pictures of this. I don't know why I did that. That's a beauty. That's a good shot. Yeah, that is a nice one. Anyway, all right. I think, gosh, we've gone past 7. So that's this weekend. If any of you happen to be in the, I don't want that. If any of you happen to be in the Boise Valley this weekend, send me an email and we can go to the air show. I'll meet you at the air show. That would be kind of cool. That'd be a good place for a meetup. Jason H, who I think he's got an unfortunate work schedule. I think he works nights swing. So, Jason H has wanted to do a roundup or a meetup. Meetup at an air show would be kind of cool. Archie is gone. Archie had requested a special guest this week, and I was going to have Matt. I've been been texting Matt, but Matt had other plans this evening. He had a date. So Matt was unavailable this evening. I also have another. We will possibly next Thursday or in an upcoming Thursday evening. I'm gonna get Jason Hobbs, who is a flight attendant with American Airlines. I think my blood sugar is crashing. Time to eat. Jason Hobbs will be available, and we're gonna do a test stream with him next week. Make sure all of our equipment works swimmingly together. And so we'll have Jason H, who can provide direct. I know, based on his experience, he's going to have a few good stories for us. So I think we'll introduce Jason Hobbs to everybody. Promote he's, I believe, a musician as well. So,
How dare you?
There you go. Yeah, Jim, he left us for a date.
How dare you?
Yep. So good for Matt. I'm super happy for him that he's, anyway, he's had a few challenges in his personal life, recently. And if I'm not going to tell any of Matt's stories, it's not my place, but if you know Matt, you probably know some of the stories. He's probably alluded to some of it on his videos, but, so he's on a date this evening. So hopefully that goes well. Apparently, she is a flight attendant, and she is also an aviation geek person as well. So very exciting. Hopefully that goes well for him.
Inconceivable! I give you the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
And I forgot. I don't know. Did you guys give me some more? And I think that's all my sound effects. If you have any last sound effects that you'd like me to add to my soundboard, I'm digging. I'm nerding out. It's very boomerish. I wonder if Jason plays Passenger Bingo. I think I've heard of that. Is that where they? I've heard of that, but I don't recall what it is. I might have to look that up. So when he is here, you can ask him that. The one thing I want to ask him is I've never asked an actual flight attendant this, but I was told that I should bring treats onto a flight to give to the flight crew, just as an extra special thank you. Not in an effort to get any special service per se, but just to give them an extra thank you. Cause it's a lot of flights, especially these days, it's kind of a thankless job. And, as a frequent traveler, aviation geek kind of person, I don't want it to be misconstrued as a bribe. It's not really wouldn't be my intent. I know a lot of people probably would use it as a bribe. The wine lady the other day. So yeah, David says it's like bingo with passenger quirks. Interesting. Maybe we will have to ask him. So possibly next Thursday. But that's something he and I will be discussing when we get that connected. So this is your last chance to throw in likes. Please do share the video, do all that good stuff. But I am going to sign off and go make dinner now. So thank you all for coming along. Jim, Bodacious, extra special thanks to you two. And if you want extra special thanks like this, y'all just have to become a member. All right, so I'm done. That's enough for me. And thanks for watching. I'll see you, hopefully some of you, if not all of you, on Monday. And Nick, I'm serious. If you have travel questions, throw them into an email, and I'll see if I can help you. So, bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.